34% of Americans fall into the category of bad or fair credit. And in my experience, you guys are the ones who come into the dealership the most unprepared. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to buy a car if you fall into that bad or fair credit. If you have less than a 670 FICO score, this video is definitely for you. If you've never bought a car on credit before, this video is definitely for you. By you watching this entire video, it's going to ensure that you get the best interest rate, the best vehicle that meets all your wants and needs, and the dealership will not be able to scam you. There's a lot of bad information on the internet when it comes to FICO scores, and there couldn't be one company that gives you the worst information, and that's Credit Karma. Credit Karma is not the place to go to get your FICO score. FICO score is made by one person, and it's Fair Isaac's company. That's why it's called FICO. Now, there are a lot of versions of FICO. Your bank uses a different version, auto lenders use different versions, mortgages uses different versions, and so on and so forth. Typically speaking, when it comes to auto, we're using FICO Score 8 version, and then to throw a little bit more into it, we're using what's called Auto Enhanced. Yes, they're giving you kind of like a grading on the curve back in school. They're giving you a curve score based off of your previous automotive history. Your auto enhanced FICO score can start all the way up to 900 and goes all the way down to 250. You're not going to find that much on the internet because you're going to find stuff like this on the internet that is giving you bad information. So these are the 5 things that you need to do in order to get approved for your next or first car loan. Number 1, so you want to make sure that you come in with an open mind. Now, we have to do our homework before we go to the dealership, but once you get to the dealership, you've got to have an open mind. You've got to remember the 3 most important things that we're going to do with our next car purchase is make sure that we get good, reliable, and dependable transportation. We get something that is affordable in our monthly budget, and most importantly, get a vehicle that's going to leap us to a better credit score, so that way when it comes time for the next car loan, that we don't have to worry about this video right here. Number 2, you've got to have equity. Equity is so important in a car deal, and if you recently watched this video right up here, you're gonna see that I try to get you and keep you away from a buy here, pay here situation. Having equity makes banks blind to your credit score. They like to see that you have some interest and some involvement in the auto loan. They know and understand that $500, $1,000 down is a down payment. When you do $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 plus down, now that becomes an investment in the bank's mind. They know based off of their recovery rates that if you have more money down, the less likelihood that they're going to have when it comes to a repossession. Money down can come in a couple different ways. The most common ways is actual physical cash down, and secondly, trade equity. Now, I'm going to tell you something on trade equity that probably nobody else out there is telling you, and I've got to bank on my 21 plus years of selling cars on the front lines at a big Chevy dealership here in Louisville, Kentucky. And that is most times that you have a trade and you owe money on that car, you have no positive equity. You have negative equity. So if you have negative equity or you owe more than what your car is worth, there's most likely that you got to have 10 to 20 to 30% down plus the negative equity to get financed. If you want to find out how much negative equity you have, you can go to ChevyDude.com. You can use the value of your trade tool, and it's going to pretty much tell you exactly what the actual cash value, ACV, is on your vehicle and what dealers will offer you. The best equity to have is 20 and 30% down. Sometimes you can get by with just 10%, and every bank varies. Sometimes they go off of NADA trade-in, sometimes they go off of NADA retail, but you need to have at least 20% down to get favorable financing. Number 3, have all your documents ready. A lot of times banks will tell dealerships that prove it. That means we need to prove income, we need to prove where you live, we need to prove your insurance, and a vast other documents that they want us to get for this auto loan. Make sure you have your check stubs, your W-2s, your 1099s, your bank statements. Have access to all those when you go to the dealership, or better yet, print them off. There is a list in the description below, so click that link. You can download it for free, and you'll be able to see this list of all the documents that you need when you go to the dealership to have ready for you, print it off, or be able to download it right there at the dealership. Number 4, don't shop your credit around or go dealer to dealer. There's sometimes almost no advantage to you to do this, with the exception of get a lot of inquiries on your credit report. Inquiries don't hurt your credit score much or at all, but really there's no reason to waste all of your time because there's so many variables when it comes to getting your car loan approved with less than a 670 credit score. I'm not saying that you can't let the dealership submit your credit information to several banks so that way you get the best terms. I'm just saying that there's really no advantage for you to go dealer to dealer and let them run your credit over and over and over again. Which leads me into number 5. This is very important for you in order to get a good deal on your next car with less than a 670 credit score. And it goes back to before even number 1. You've got to do your due diligence. You've got to do your homework before you contact a dealership. You need to contact a dealership that has either me there or someone who's dedicated in special finance. A lot of dealerships have dealerships that have special finance managers, maybe salespeople who deal with a lot of subprime or special finance customers. Those are the perfect people to work with at the dealership. Definitely walk in or call and say, hey, do you guys have a special finance manager? Everybody there is going to know what you're asking about and referring to, so it should be a really quick answer. And most importantly, if the dealership does not have their pricing on their website, do not use them. Do not use them. I promise you, that is worse than a buy here, pay here place. You might as well go to buy here, pay here place if you go to a dealership that has no pricing on their website. Those are the biggest scam artists in the industry. So to recap on number 5, because I want to be really clear to make sure that you get the best experience and the best car deal that you possibly can. Use me if you can come to the dealership, or go to a dealership that has a special finance manager or has someone who dedicates themselves in special finance. Now, a lot of times this is going to be a franchise dealer, a Chevy, a Ford, a Toyota, a Honda. Those are the best dealerships out there to get you approved if you have less than a 670 credit score. And you guys know I never just do 5 things. I want to give you something a little extra. I like to call it the gush of my video, and that's number 6. Number 6 is so important, and it kind of triggers me a little bit, but it's most importantly, it's going to help you make sure that you have a smooth and timely transaction at the dealership. When you do this, you hear me slamming? When you go into the dealership, make sure your driver's license has your correct name, address on it. Make sure your paycheck stubs have your correct address on them. Make sure everything you have has up-to-date information on it. The worst thing that can happen, and the deal will get kicked back from the bank after you leave, and it's going to create an amazing and negative response from the bank, is you having the wrong information on driver's licenses, ID cards, insurance, etc. And most importantly, if you do have to log into or need bank statements, make sure you understand how to log into these places, your insurance company, bank statements, so on and so forth. And lastly, make sure that you have 6 names, addresses, phone numbers of all of your friends that are not at the same household, because sometimes the banks do ask for references. That's not people they're really going to call. What they usually use it for is at the end, if you decide not to pay, they call up and say, hey, have you seen XYZ? I was trying to get a hold of them. Will you have them call me? That's how they use that. And the most important thing that you can do to help yourself on the next car deal is watch that video right there, so that way you don't get scammed. And that video series right there is extremely important as well.